Alrighty, what is up, guys? Welcome back. Evan Aldo here. So I wanted to do things a little bit different in this video. Normally, I give an analysis and all that to start, but this video, we're getting into the point in the 4-year cycle, which is, a really fantastic point where things generally probably are going to be generally upward for the next year. And I know there's a lot of new people getting in, or people that have been around a while. Maybe, you're cash heavy, maybe you're Bitcoin heavy, you don't have many alts. I want to start out with this. I'll get into the analysis after this, but I want to start out with saying what I'm going to do if I didn't have any crypto right now, or any altcoins right now, or any crypto in general. Let's just say we just had some cash, whatever amount that would be. Let's say I just had some cash, and this is what I would do if I didn't have any crypto. So the first thing that we want to look at is others versus Bitcoin. Now, others is essentially everything outside the top 10 market cap versus Bitcoin. So all coins, essentially all coins versus Bitcoin. And I circled some really, really important areas here. And we could zoom out a little bit and take a look-see at some of these. So December of 2016, that was your bottom. I mean, you did have, your bottom in December of 2015, but in the 4-year cycle where we are right now, is December of 2016, about 8 years ago. And, voila, 4 years later, was December of 2020. That was a bottom. That's where it bottomed out. Now, this time's different because we made a lower low here, a slightly lower low on others versus Bitcoin for whatever reason that may be. Maybe it's because the Fed has been more conservative than they were during these previous periods. The inflation, that's that, that view. And now, the Trump victory and all that, and then Fed essentially planning on stopping quantitative tightening and transitioning over into quantitative easing around the end of this year would kind of make sense to come up. So let's hope this is just a fluke and not some, tragic thing downward more. It can be, though, because when we look at what happened for others versus Bitcoin, where we are right now, and some of these things, they work like clockwork more than you would think. This is December. We're November 19th right now. Let's go to essentially the same place. So from this candle, this Heikin-Ashi candlestick all the way downward, I mean, that was a big drop down. That was about 36%. And if we compare it to the same thing here, let's go, so right around, November. I mean, you could even, the closest one would be right around here, and my EMAs are kind of blocking my view, but that's 46% down against Bitcoin, so quite a bit, quite a bit. Now, if we go to where we are right now from the top of this kind of area, where we are right now, around, November 18th, I mean, are you going to go down another full 30, 40% against this? I mean, it's possible if something kind of wild happens, over the next, 4 to 6 weeks into the end of the year. But wild, it may not be. It could be wild for Bitcoin shooting up to 100K or higher than that. Because Bitcoin was generally bullish in this area where alts bled against Bitcoin, and it was bullish over here as well. I looked this up. It was bullish over here as well in December of 2016. So if history does repeat, we may have 4 more weeks of Bitcoin outperforming all the alts. So what would I do with that information if I just had Bitcoin right now, or I just had cash right now? I would DCA over the into the end of the year, essentially into, let's give it could go 2 months, month and a half, 6 to 8 weeks. You could even, if you're really ballsy, go, 4 weeks DCA. I'd probably DCA at least into January 1st, because January 1st, if you're buying on January 1st and you're betting that 2025 is going to be like 2021 or 2017, then if you buy on January 1st, most likely prices are going to be higher at December 31st of that year. Most likely you're going to have a really good year. So that's that's one of the things that you got to realize there. So DCAing alts, if you have cash, I mean, if you already have alts like I have, a lot of them, I was DCAing alts a lot throughout, where was it? Throughout, so I'm down against Bitcoin a little bit throughout, if you guys were in the Discord following along, down a little bit against Bitcoin. It was around, this September, October, and then some of these have come down in their Bitcoin pairs. I earned interest on some of them. all that. It's more of a long-term thing. And I mean, they're down, but not that bad. Some of them are up on their Bitcoin pair even. It's just as a whole 30% against Bitcoin. So not it's a significant amount. It's, if this is, if you're waiting for that 4-year cycle area, you're not quite there exactly yet. We have another couple weeks, another month, But, excuse me, one good thing on the 2-week right here, bull div, that could mark the bottom here. Now, potentially other places, if we do lose this, I didn't draw the fib level. Let me draw we could do from, let's just go from, I just want to see the next, kind of, yeah, that would be that 30-40% drop down that I was telling you guys about. Yeah, 30-40% down would be right around here. I think that, well, in the unlikely scenario that Bitcoin crashes significantly between now and the end of the year, it would probably, alts would probably, crash against it. In the more likely scenario that Bitcoin does well and jumps up, then you're looking at alts potentially crashing against it as well. Now, the other scenario that I want to happen is Bitcoin goes more sideways. Now, if you guys remember in 2021, a lot of times when Bitcoin went sideways, alts jumped up a bit. And you saw, alts jump up a bit. And in the past few weeks, for example, as Bitcoin's kind of, past week or so, as Bitcoin's, been sideways, we saw, let's see, for example, some of these that went just, crazy H-bar. I was just going to talk about the old ones that have been around. Algorand, some of these, Crypto.com was up a lot too. Got my 7-day, a lot of them have done well over the last couple weeks. Ones that have been around for a minute. So you kind of see that. But essentially, long story short here, if you have a pile of cash, if you have, if I had a pile of cash, let's say 10 grand or $1,000, I would DCA that for about 4 to 6 weeks into a very diversified portfolio of altcoins. And I would really hope over the course of next year that we'd be able to outperform Bitcoin by at least 200%. So if Bitcoin doubles from here, which would be a lot, 180K, maybe it won't double. But if it does, you're going to get, a 4x, I believe. So you're going to get a lot. And then if we, just look at where this could potentially peak out, it could be all the way up to these evaluations against Bitcoin for the average, alt. Probably not 800%, but 300%, maybe against Bitcoin. Now, moving on to, total 3 just in general of what you could see for your kind of average altcoin. If you got a diversified portfolio of them, what you could hope to maybe get here. Big places, 100% up to 1.5 trillion. I think it could go higher than that, 200% up to, 2 trillion. 300 to 400% for your average alt. If you got a good portfolio of them, maybe even better. Maybe 300%, pretty good. 300, 400%, pretty good. I know people want 10x's, 20x's. Sure, some of them will do that, but as a whole, a lot. The average one, 300, 400%. That's kind of my guess. Sure, you may beat this and do a lot better, but over the next year, that's kind of my guess. And these are big points to look to potentially get out as you hit some of these levels on total 3. Bitcoin dominance, I don't think means, is not the most important thing to look at this point. We're over 60%. I mean, sure, you could come up to 62%. I don't really see going up much higher than that. I think this will top out by, let's see, here, topped out January of 21. I don't know if this really means anything, but that was November of 16. It started to really dump down around, beginning of 2017. I don't think that means much, but it topped out in January of 21, essentially the end of December. So maybe a little bit more here, up to 62, maybe even higher than that, who knows. But I think over the next 4 weeks, if history repeats, unless some major curveball hits us, we're going to see this, top out. And then this red dot in the monthly could be a freaking, like that trigger wave right there, a real big catalyst downward into, that point, May of 21. So it could be quick. I would think it would be a little bit more elongated here in terms of when we, finally peak out and all that. I would guess, December of next year. I think it could just gradually, I don't think it's going to go down that quickly. I think it's going to be more of a gradual kind of, maybe something like that, a little bit more, more of something. I mean, it's rare history repeats exactly. I think this will be more elongated. And then that's the thing here. So yeah, and I mean, the thing too is when you get into, obviously we look at, ETH versus Bitcoin. These are the previous times ETH has bottomed out against Bitcoin. That, a lot of people could be thinking maybe, converting Bitcoin to Ethereum right now. If you haven't done that already, as probably a lot of people already done, I would guess. Um, excuse me, this bought in December of 2016, like clockwork. December of 2020, we're almost there. So essentially, where would you want to do it based on these two? End of December, but that wick was essentially December 5th. So you'd want to wait a week, I guess, based on this. 2 weeks. I would go maybe, or maybe when this 2 week confirms here. Come on. That would be, that 12 days could be really good. This is not loading for some reason, but this 12 days here could be really, really good. Potentially that bull div right there, if you do get that and you confirm it went away. Oh yeah, it went away. But if that does come back, that could be a really good sign within the next 12, 13 days here. And oh wow, you're actually making a lower low at the moment. I didn't even realize that. So you're making a lower low here at the moment. So yeah, maybe watch this falling knife a little bit. So yeah. And if we move on to just let's get into normal analysis a little bit here. Well, I just wanted to show you like something, Cardano versus ETH, because number one goal, outperform Bitcoin. Number one goal after that, outperform Ethereum. Cardano looks like it may have kind of bottomed out against Ethereum right here coming up, and then potentially, if you could break up from there, hitting this point, that's 100% against Ethereum. So Cardano could do some stuff. I mean, what was it? Charles Hodgkinson talking to, what was it, Trump administration? There's all those people that kind of counted Cardano out are now all the back on the train because of the news. The news, unforeseen circumstances can happen, both good and bad for any coin. That's why diversification is important when it comes to alts. But trigger wave right there on the monthly, if you break above that, you're looking at that $2 mark. Now, what's interesting here is this was the old all-time high for Cardano. Just to put into perspective, when some altcoins made new all-time highs. January of 2018, you get up to $1.40 about. And then, voila, February of 21, you finally made a new all-time high. So if it's like that in the 4-year cycle, we could potentially really go crazy into February and come up to these points by February or so, and then that's it's done. Kind of most of it's done. I mean, you came up higher into the end of the year, but most of that move has been done. I think it's not going to be that freaking parabolic, though. I think it's going to be more elongated this time. Like, I think you could see more of a situation of this nature. Like, I mean, straight up, but not as just, because 90% of that damn move happened. I mean, look at that. I mean, that wick was just, that was 600% up, and then you're kind of bust. You know what I mean? If you sold there, not a terrible place, $1.50. I mean, it did double from there. Let's be real, but still, you had a while to get out. But yeah, and then bull div bear div on the monthly. I mean, that was kind of a no-brainer there. Where was that in the 4-year cycle? October 21. Yeah. So that's when we were wrapping up. The end of kind of 21, we were wrapping things up, and then going into our really brutal bear market downward, about 92% down. So yeah. And then if we look at, just some coins, doing this kind of the opposite of how I normally kind of do things in the analysis, but bear with me. Some of the coins, all coins are important to look at right now. Matic, I think, kind of all or nothing here. If you lose, this level, probably don't want this under 29 cents, you know what I mean? But I think this can, continue forward and really do some damage over the next, few months, 6 months, next year, 11, 12 months. So that's what I'm potentially looking at, that to kind of do better. Algorand's another one that's been jumping up. I think this you're going to get up to inevitably. And it is a lot, 260%, but you could jump up for some of these quickly. You got a little bit at, 32 cents, but after that 70, they could come back quick, some of these. So yeah, and then if we look at, for example, Solana, next big place at 270. Solana is a big player. It's a big player, and it probably will continue to be throughout this kind of bull run here. So yeah, and I mean, just wanted to show you guys some of the trades that I've been in. Show you 2 of them. I'm in a few others as well, but AVAX right here, that's a good one. Riding that upward over on BYDFI. Funding rate's not terrible. I know on some exchanges it's definitely worse. Our funding rates here are not the worst, so 0.02. I'll take it compared to some other exchanges, not bad. And then in addition, if you guys want to sign up with my link down below for BidFi, only with my link, you get 10% cash back on your deposit up to $1,000 futures bonus. So if you deposit 10K, you get 1K to trade with futures bonus. In addition to that, you get 10% off your fees if you sign up with my link over on BidFi. The link is down below. BloFin is a good option as well. There's 10% cash back on my fees, on your funding fees, or excuse me, your just the fees in general, your trading fees that you pay with my link as well, same as BidFi. So check that out, only my link down below if you guys are interested. In addition, if you do sign up to those with my link, deposit at least $100, give you 1 free month in the Discord where I give these trade setups that I make here in advance. Got Nightshade in there, another really good analyst, so a lot of really good resources and good things to look at. We're obviously not right 100% of the time, but I think it is a really good community. We've had some people that have been in there a while that have really shaped the community, so been a really, really good thing. So appreciate if you guys check that out. So yeah, and then just a few others that look pretty good. Now everything generally looks pretty strong in the macro right now. Trigger wave on the 3-week on Avalanche. A lot of people like Avalanche. I do as well. Green dot in the monthly. Sky's the limit. A lot of these could do really, really well here. I mean, for anything in the top 25, probably the most you would see is a 10x. On the lower end, 2 or 3x. So that's what I would kind of guess for alts in the top 25. And yeah, I mean, some of them will probably do less than that, but the good ones will probably at least do a 2 to 3x. Crypto.com got a good jump up. Trying to really watch some of these and really hold these areas and jump up a bit higher, maybe up to 27 cents here. That's what I'm kind of looking at for this one, especially holding that area. People have been talking about it, so I think some of these exchange tokens, especially Crypto.com, could potentially come back. HBAR as well got a really big jump up. That double bottom pattern right there, potentially jumping up. That's gonna bring, if you could break above their all-time highs, this could take months to play out though, so you got to be patient with it. But yeah, and then a little bit short term on Bitcoin, we've just been going sideways, and I think as we've been going sideways, Bitcoin dominance has been, I don't know what it's been doing actually. Coming up maybe, okay, coming up a little bit, which that would, going sideways and Bitcoin dominance coming, choppy, nothing really happening. But as I said, when Bitcoin goes sideways, you could see some alts kind of jump up. We haven't seen that altcoin season yet, but we could be approaching that if history kind of repeats here. So yeah, ultimately jumping up from that up to 95. In terms of a trade right now, you could try to long this. Your money flow is pretty good. You could try to long this up to 95. Use good risk management. That's what I'd be looking at right there. ETH is still bleeding against Bitcoin, so I'd be a little bit careful with ETH. Apologies, this thing is lagging a little bit. The internet's not the best right now, but well, I know either the 2-week or the 3-week. I believe it's a 2-week. It's got that rare, trigger wave right there. So I think ETH is going to do well too. And the last thing I want to just say about ETH here is that ETH last time at the end of 2020, early 21 in the 4-year cycle, a lot of people doubted it. It lagged behind Bitcoin a lot. It didn't do, what we all wanted it to do compared to a lot of other, coins there. But then it finally came roaring back when we saw that crazy April-May rally for it. So don't count out ETH. Ultimately, like I mentioned, ETH bottoming out against Bitcoin. I think it's going to do that by the end of the year, and then we should be on our way for Ethereum. Anyway, guys, always appreciate you guys tuning in. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.